Many people we talk to, they've heard of it, but they don't understand it. And Steve, what does that say about where we are today?
I think that's a sad commentary, John, of the American education system and our public school system that's failing to teach the very fundamentals of our nation. I mean, the Electoral College is assured that we are the 50 United States of America, and that the president is the president of the United States, not the president of the majority of the people who may be from the East and West Coast that may vote for him, but that assure that all the states have an equal prorated say in who the president's going to be. If you didn't have the Electoral College, you would have a situation where New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco could potentially control the White House. That would leave all those people in the middle who grow our food and provide our cattle and our water from having a say in who the president was. You want to see a country collapse into turmoil? Cut out middle America from having an equal voice in who the president is.
Hey, welcome back. It is a Table Talk Tuesday right here on Liquid Lunch on NEWSMAX TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're in the downtown studios. We're in the Cuestión Tequila studios. And right down the street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average continues to have a wonderful day. The bulls are on the run. Dow's up 250 points. This is all a good sign. If we can calm down some of these geopolitical fears and cut a final deal on phase one with China, the market may be poised for some great upside. And the show is poised for some great upside now as we welcome in our guest, Paul Wiegartner. Paul, thank you for joining us today on Liquid Lunch.
Thank you for having me.
Paul is a retired FBI special agent. He was an special assistant U.S. attorney under Loretta Lynch, which we got to talk about that one. And you were a prosecutor in New Jersey.
Yes.
So you've kind of, in the law enforcement and government service, you've kind of run the gamut, I would say. You've seen it all. Everyone talks about deep state and all this other stuff. You were on the inside, now you're on the outside. Is there a deep state or some component that acts like a deep state?
I think when they refer to the deep state, it's a lot of the whole bureaucratic state that exists in this country. You have career people that are in positions that they think that they're the executive branch, and they're not. All executive power is vested in the office of the president. The president's the chief law enforcement officer of the country. The president could order anyone investigated or not investigated that he wants. Any power the attorney general has, it all comes from constitutional powers that the president has. So people are in these positions for years and years, and they see things come and go, and they have very strong feelings, and they're maybe invested in a political party or a certain person, and they think that they run the government, and they don't. The elected officials do.
We know for sure, because of these congressional hearings, that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Andrew McCabe were communicating via text about a plan B. Don't worry about Trump. We got another plan. And now there's all this other stuff coming out that, I guess Bill Barr is looking into with Durham and how the whole investigation started. You were in the Justice Department. You were an FBI special agent. How important it is that our government doesn't spy on U.S. citizens with false intentions?
It's extremely important. I can't think of anything that's more important than that. That's what our whole Fourth Amendment was based on. And I used to work right down the street in the FBI building down here. And one of the jobs that I had was I had to review these drafts for FISA warrants. And one thing as an investigator that I learned very early on is you look at something that's unusual if you want to see what something's going wrong. And what's unusual about the FISA process that they used to spy on the Trump campaign and Papadopoulos? It wasn't gone through the normal channels. It didn't go to somebody like me who was a mid-level person who reviewed this, made sure all the I's were dotted. It came from the top down, right, which just doesn't happen. And the investigation itself was run out of headquarters, which also doesn't happen. The agents who are out in the field every day, who have to go to court and have to testify and have somebody like what I'm doing now, a defense attorney, go up there and challenge them, they're the ones who know how to work a case. But the headquarters bureaucrats who are an intelligence unit, who maybe never had to testify in their life, right, like Peter Strzok, don't know how to work a case, and their political
Wow.
biases can get involved in that. So,
It's amazing. It's
the first time I ever collected evidence, and then I got on this, the first time I had to testify against it, somebody tore me up. Why didn't you initial this? Why didn't you do that? It makes you a much better agent. People who spend their career in the counterintelligence field, well, they do a very important job and they're excellent agents. They're not tested like that, and they're not designed to do a criminal type investigation.
Paul, I know that you were a prosecutor in the Eastern District of New York, not necessarily the Southern District, but let me ask you about this case, which might be tied up with this whole impeachment situation, which is the case of these two Soviet-born Giuliani associates that were arrested. Now there are rumors that Giuliani himself might be being investigated by the very same office he used to head in the Southern District. Based on your looking at the situation, what kind of trouble do you think these guys are in, and what possible trouble could Rudy Giuliani be in?
I mean, obviously, he's not even accused of anything yet. He hasn't been charged, or certainly. But it can be, there's a lot of laws that seem in our current political situation to be selectively enforced. And it is easy to, not easy, but people can run afoul of laws that are never routinely enforced. Things like some of the lobbying laws that got General Flynn locked up, and they got other people, Manafort, in trouble. They just dropped charges, I understand. They dropped the investigation against the Podestas for doing the exact same thing. So the Podestas don't get charged, these people get charged. So it's hard to say. If
Roger Stone is facing trial and potentially jail for false statements that basically everyone that they around him, the cases were dropped, but still they're going after him.
I'm glad you brought up Roger Stone, because I used to be in the SWAT team. I was the guy, I was a bigger guy. I was a football player and a wrestler. I would use the ram to break down the door. I was that guy. I never did it for someone in charge with perjury.
Right, that's the
not
point.
a 70-year-old guy with no criminal record charged for perjury, and we never did that. You had,
Never.
maybe.
Just so I'm clear, let's say this. How long were you on that team, the break-in team, the SWAT team?
About 5 years.
About 5 years. Never one time did you have to bust down the door of someone charged with perjury?
No, we were doing Islamic terrorists. We were doing mafia people who were accused of being hitmen. That's when you break down the door on somebody. You don't go breaking down a door at 6 o'clock in the morning with someone who's charged with perjury. A lot of the ways we would handle that when I worked by collar crime is you call their lawyer.
Call a lawyer and say, bring him on in.
Roger Stone isn't fleeing. He's not going to go to Moscow and flee the country.
Doubtful.
So you call up the lawyer, say, we have a warrant. Come and
Bring him in. That's it.
Happens every day.
Yeah, I know it. All right, well, Paul Wiegartner, you're going to see a lot more of him on the show, because we love bringing the guests that know where the rubber meets the road. And when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, this guy was that moment of inertia between the rubber and the road. He's seen it all. And great defense attorney,
Great.
too.
Thank
If
you
you
for having
ever
me.
get afoul of the FBI, look him up. Hope to have you back soon for a Liquid Lunch.
Thank you.
The pen just went off. But you're watching Liquid Lunch. We're going to take a quick break right now. We're going to come back with Pat DeLeo for a huge announcement for Quad M Solutions about how you, small business owners, can cut your health insurance in half. Yep, I said it, in half. You're watching Liquid Lunch. Back at you right after this.